Ever notice how life's biggest plot twists come disguised as paperwork? There I was, Monday morning, reviewing venue contracts for my own wedding. Because of course I was. Wedding planner checking her own wedding details like some kind of meta nightmare. When I spotted it. Same church. Same date. Less than a month after mine. Different bride and groom names. Ivy Morrison and Troy Bennett. My sister. My fiancé. Let me back up for exactly 5 seconds before your brain short circuits like mine did. I'm Hazel Morrison, 29, owner of Ever After Events, Portland's third highest rated wedding planning company on the knot. Yes, I know. Imagine the irony. I plan other people's happily ever afters while mine was apparently getting plagiarized by my own flesh and blood. Troy Bennett, 31, was supposed to be my corporate lawyer fiancé. Tall, ambitious, great at pretending he knew what discovery meant in legal terms. Ivy Morrison, 26, was supposed to be my baby sister, who wore my hand-me-downs growing up and still asked to borrow my Netflix password. Key phrase, supposed to be. I sat there in my office, minimalist white desk, mood board for the Henderson wedding on the wall, cold brew going lukewarm in my hand, staring at that contract like it was written in ancient Greek. The venue coordinator had accidentally CC'd me on Ivy's booking confirmation. Classic Pam from Willowbrook Methodist. 62 years old, still didn't understand BCC functionality, bless her heart. The email was chatty, breezy. So excited for another Morrison wedding. Your family keeps us in business, just 1 month apart. How fun. How fun indeed, Pam. How absolutely delightful. I did what any rational person would do. I screenshotted everything, forwarded it to my personal email, then drove straight to my parents' house in the suburbs. You know the type. HOA-approved beige siding, professionally maintained lawn, those weird decorative shutters that don't actually shut. Peak American suburban cosplay. Mom answered the door in her Lululemon athletic curewear. Because God forbid anyone in our zip code wear actual sweatpants. And her face did this thing. This microscopic flinch. That's when I knew. Hazel, sweetie, what a surprise on a Monday. Cut the Stepford wife routine, Mom. Why is Ivy getting married at my church less than a month after my wedding? She ushered me inside like I'd just announced I had a highly contagious disease. Living room, cream sectional, those live, laugh, love derivative signs that say, gather and blessed. Fresh flowers from Trader Joe's in that specific mason jar way. Dad was on the couch pretending to read the Wall Street Journal, but clearly eavesdropping. Honey, we were going to tell you— Tell me what? That my sister's marrying my fiancé? When exactly was that conversation scheduled? Before or after my wedding? That's happening in 5 weeks. Dad set down the newspaper. Hazel, let's be reasonable. I'm extremely reasonable, Dad. I'm so reasonable I haven't set anything on fire yet. Start talking. Mom did this hand-wringing thing she does when she's about to say something she knows is indefensible but is going to defend anyway. Ivy's pregnant. The room tilted slightly. She's 3 months along, Mom continued, picking invisible lint off the couch. It's Troy's baby. They didn't mean for it to happen, sweetie, but these things. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound came out wrong, like a bark. These things where your daughter sleeps with your other daughter's fiancé and gets knocked up, those kind of things. The kind that just happen, like a fender bender or a missed period. Wait, Hazel, language. How long? Silence. The grandfather clock in the corner, inherited from Dad's mother, keeps terrible time but we're not allowed to fix it. Ticked. How? Long. Dad cleared his throat. They said about 4 months. It started around Christmas. Christmas when Troy had that work emergency and missed my family dinner. When Ivy had volunteered to bring him cookies the next day because she felt so bad he'd worked through the holiday. When I'd actually thanked her for being thoughtful. And you knew? I looked between them. Both of you? Ivy told us 2 weeks ago, Mom said quietly. She was terrified. She didn't know how to tell you. So she booked the church instead. Much more efficient. Very modern. She needs support right now, Hazel. She's young, she's scared. She's 26 and apparently very intimate with Troy. So I'd say she's managing fine. Hazel Morrison! Mom's voice went up that octave it does when she's more concerned with propriety than actual problems. This is exactly why she was afraid to tell you. You make everything so difficult. I make everything difficult. Right. Not the sister who's currently gestating my fiancé's child. Not the fiancé who… Wait. Something clicked. Where is Troy right now? They looked at each other. He's at work, presumably, Dad said. At his law firm. Yes. The law firm where he works as a corporate attorney. Hazel, where are you going with this? I was already pulling up my phone. Troy graduated from University of Oregon Law School, right? That's what he always says. Took the bar exam February 2019, passed on the first try. Very impressive. I don't see what that has to do with… I was typing into the Oregon State Bar website. Public records. Every licensed attorney in the state. Search, Troy Michael Bennett. No results found. Huh. I showed them my phone. That's weird. It's like he doesn't exist. Mom waved it off. Maybe it's a different name, or the website is… The Oregon State Bar is incredibly thorough, Mom. It's literally their job. If Troy passed the bar, he'd be here. Every attorney is. I'm sure there's an explanation. I'm sure there is too. And I'm going to find it. I headed for the door. Oh, and Mom? Tell Ivy congratulations on the baby, and the wedding, and stealing my entire freaking life. I hope the three of them are very happy together. Hazel, don't be dramatic. Dramatic? I turned back. I'm a wedding planner who just discovered her own wedding is now a practice run for her sisters. If I can't be dramatic now, when can I? I drove back to my condo in a fugue state. You know that feeling where you're technically operating a vehicle but your brain is 3 dimensions away? Red light, green light, turn signal, autopilot. The whole time, my mind was racing. Troy wasn't in the bar database. Troy wasn't a licensed attorney. Troy had been working late approximately 3 nights a week for 4 years. Troy's law firm, Barrett and Associates, I'd never actually visited. He always said they had strict security policies about visitors. I pulled into my parking garage and sat in my car for 10 minutes, just thinking. My phone buzzed. Text from Ivy. Mom told me you know. I'm so sorry, Hayes. We didn't mean for this to happen. But I love him. And the baby needs a father. You understand, right? You've always been the strong one. You'll be fine. I stared at that message. The casual cruelty of it. The assumption that I'd just… What? Roll over? Play dead? Be the strong one who absorbed everyone else's terrible choices. Another text. Also, Mom said we can use the flowers you ordered since they're already paid for. That's okay, right? We have the same taste anyway, lol. That's when something in me shifted. Hardened. Crystallized into something sharp. You want to know the difference between being heartbroken and being dangerous? Heartbroken people cry. Dangerous people start taking notes. I opened a new document on my phone, started typing. Operation. Ever After Target. Troy Bennett, Ivy Morrison. Objective. Truth timeline. 25 days. Probability of success. TBD. Probability of satisfaction. Guaranteed. Because here's what my dear sister didn't understand. I'm a wedding planner. I'm detail-oriented. I'm obsessive. I've spent 4 years planning other people's perfect days, which means I've spent 4 years learning every single thing that can go wrong. And now? I was about to plan the most memorable wedding of my career. Just not the way anyone expected. The thing about suburban family drama is that it operates on this bizarre code of silence. Nobody actually addresses the elephant in the room. They just redecorate around it and pretend it's a quirky design choice. Case in point. Tuesday morning brunch. Mom had texted the family group chat. Yes, we had one. Yes, it was called Morrison Magic. Yes, I wanted to die every time it pinged. Requesting my presence at their house for family discussion. Code for ambush. I showed up with a box of fancy donuts from that overpriced place downtown. Maple bacon, lavender honey, the kind that cost $48 and scream, I'm handling this like an adult. Inside, I was imagining increasingly creative ways to use my car as a weapon. Everyone was there. Mom, Dad, Ivy, looking annoyingly radiant in some flowy dress that I swear she stole from my closet last year. And Troy, Troy Bennett, sitting at my parents' dining table like he belonged there, coffee mug in hand, wearing his fake lawyer costume, navy suit, silk tie, that watch I'd given him for his birthday. Hazel! Mom's voice was aggressively cheerful. So glad you could make it. Wouldn't miss it for the world. I set the donuts down harder than necessary. Nothing says quality family time like confronting your sister's home-wrecking. Hazel, Dad's warning tone. The one that means behave in public. Sorry. Alleged home-wrecking. We haven't established a timeline yet. When did you two start sleeping together? Before or after Christmas? I need it for my calendar. Ivy's eyes filled with tears. Actual tears. She'd always been good at that. Hayes, please don't be like this. Like what? Specific? Detail-oriented? Sorry, occupational hazard. When you plan weddings for a living, you tend to care about little things. Like dates, and fidelity, and basic human decency. Troy set down his mug. Hazel, I know you're upset. Upset? I laughed. Upset is finding out targets out of your favorite creamer. This is more, what's the word? Devastated? Betrayed? Homicidal? Let's go with homicidal. Can we all just… Mom gestured vaguely. Let's sit down and discuss this like adults. We sat. I took the chair farthest from Troy, which meant I was next to Ivy. She smelled like my perfume. The Chanel one. The expensive one I'd bought in Paris. Of course she did. So, Dad folded his hands on the table, going into mediator mode. We're all here because we need to figure out how to move forward as a family. I'll save everyone time, I interrupted. I'm canceling my wedding. Troy can marry Ivy. They can have their baby. I'll send a gift. Probably something from the registry I created for my wedding. Full circle. Hazel, you don't have to cancel… Mom started. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you suggesting I marry him anyway? Have a sister-wives situation? Very progressive, Mom. Very Portland of you. Troy leaned forward. Hazel, I care about you. Don't. My voice came out cold, flat. Don't insult me further by pretending you care about anything except yourself. That's not fair. You know what's not fair, Troy? I spent 4 years with you. 4 years listening to your stories about work, your big cases, your difficult clients, your stressful depositions. I paused. Funny thing, though. I checked the Oregon State Bar website yesterday. Couldn't find your name anywhere. The room went silent. Ivy looked confused. Mom and Dad exchanged glances. Troy's face did something interesting. A microscopic flinch. Just like Mom's when I'd shown up yesterday. The website's been having issues. Has it? Because it worked fine for your colleague James Morrison and Sarah Collins, and literally every other attorney I searched for. Just not you. Hazel, what are you implying? Dad asked. I'm not implying anything. I'm asking a direct question. Troy, are you a licensed attorney in the state of Oregon? Of course I am. Great. Then you won't mind if I call Barrett and Associates and verify your employment? I'm sure they'd love to hear from your almost wife. I pulled out my phone. What's the main line again? Troy stood up. This is ridiculous. I don't have to prove anything to you. Interesting response from someone who definitely has nothing to hide. Ivy grabbed Troy's hand. Hazel's just trying to start drama. Drama? Sweetie, I don't need to start anything. You two did that all by yourselves. I'm just asking questions, like any good wedding planner would. I smiled. Speaking of which, Mom said you're using my flowers for your wedding. That's so thoughtful. Are you also using my caterer? My photographer? My entire vendor list that I spent 8 months cultivating? Mom shifted uncomfortably. We thought, since you're canceling anyway. I haven't actually said I'm canceling. Everyone stared at me. What? I shrugged. Maybe I'll go through with it anyway. Show up to an empty church. Marry myself. Very empowering. Very eat, pray, love. Hazel, be reasonable, Dad started. I am being reasonable. Reasonable would be not asking why my entire family is prioritizing my sister's shotgun wedding over my mental health. But sure, I'll be more reasonable. Troy, what law school did you attend again? University of Oregon. And you graduated when? 2018? And passed the bar in 2019? February 2019, yes? Interesting. Because I called University of Oregon's alumni office this morning. Funny thing, they have no record of a Troy Michael Bennett graduating from their law school. Not in 2018, not ever. The silence was deafening. Troy's face went through several colors. Red, white, kind of grayish. There must be a mistake. Must be a lot of mistakes happening lately. I stood up. You know what? I'm done here. Ivy, congratulations on your wedding. Mom, Dad, thanks for choosing sides so efficiently. Really warms the heart. I grabbed my purse. Troy, I'd say see you in court, but apparently you're not actually qualified to be there. I walked out, got in my car, drove exactly 2 blocks before pulling over and shaking so hard I had to grip the steering wheel. Then I called my best friend, Marin. Emergency brunch aftermath, I said when she picked up. Meet me at Sunnyside Cafe in 20 minutes. Bring your lawyer brain. Oh God, what happened? Remember how I said my life couldn't get worse? Yeah? I was extremely wrong. Marin showed up at Sunnyside Cafe looking like she'd just walked out of a courtroom, which she probably had. Power suit, briefcase, that specific energy of someone who argues for a living and wins. She's a family attorney, handles divorces, custody battles, the whole messy spectrum of human relationships falling apart. We'd been friends since college, when she talked me out of a terrible boyfriend and I talked her through the bar exam stress. The irony wasn't lost on me. Okay. She sat down, ordered a double espresso, and pulled out a legal pad. Tell me everything, slowly, chronologically, like I'm documenting it for a deposition. I walked her through it. The venue contract, the confrontation with my parents, Troy's missing bar registration, the brunch from hell that morning. Marin took notes in that terrifying shorthand lawyers use, occasionally making sounds that ranged from to oh no. When I finished, she set down her pen and looked at me with this expression I'd seen her use on opposing counsel. Calculating, predatory, kind of thrilling. You know what you have here? She asked. A dumpster fire of a life? Leverage. I blinked. What? Hazel, listen to me very carefully. If Troy isn't licensed to practice law, and he's been representing himself as an attorney, that's not just embarrassing. That's criminal. Unauthorized practice of law. It's a Class A misdemeanor in Oregon, sometimes a felony depending on circumstances. We're talking fines, jail time, civil liability for anyone he gave legal advice to. My brain started catching up. He works at Barrett and Associates. Does he, though? Marin pulled out her phone. Let's find out. She called the firm. Put it on speaker. Barrett and Associates. How may I direct your call? Hi. Yes, I'm trying to reach Troy Bennett. He's an attorney there? Pause. I'm sorry. We don't have anyone by that name. Are you sure? Troy Bennett? Corporate law? I'm showing no one in our directory with that name. Would you like to speak with someone else? Marin's eyes met mine. No, that's all. Thank you. She hung up. We sat there for a moment. He doesn't work there, I said slowly. He doesn't work there. So where the heck has he been going every day for 4 years? Marin tapped her pen against the pad. That's an excellent question. But here's a better one. Where's the money coming from? What do you mean? Hazel, you're a wedding planner. Good money, but not great money. Troy supposedly made 6 figures as a corporate attorney. You two split a nice condo downtown, he drove a Lexus, he always picked up dinner tabs. That money came from somewhere. I never really thought about it. You didn't need to. But now we need to think about it very carefully. She started writing. We need to figure out what he's been doing, where he's been going, how he's been funding this fake attorney lifestyle. Because people don't just pretend to be lawyers for fun. There's a reason. How do we? Leave that to me. I have a friend who's a private investigator, handles fraud cases. This is literally his specialty. She looked up. But Hazel, I need to ask you something. If we go down this road, if we start digging, we might find things you don't want to know. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Ivy, about the smug look on her face at brunch, about my mother asking if it was okay to use my flowers, about Troy sitting at that table like he'd done nothing wrong. I'm prepared, I said. Good, because I think your sister's pregnancy might be the least of your problems. The next 2 weeks were educational. Marin's investigator friend, guy named Sullivan, early 50s, looked like a middle school geography teacher but apparently had the tracking skills of a bloodhound, started following Troy, documenting everything: where he went, who he met with, what time he left the house, what time he came back. Turns out, Troy wasn't going to a law firm. He was going to a shared WeWork space downtown, $300 a month for a desk and the appearance of legitimacy. He'd meet clients there, real people with real legal problems, take their money, give them advice that may or may not have been accurate, and send them on their way. Sometimes he'd dress up and go to actual courtrooms, watching real lawyers work, taking notes. He's been doing this for 3 years, Sullivan told me over coffee at a diner near my office. He slid a folder across the table. Started small. Traffic tickets for friends, then bigger stuff, contract disputes, basic litigation. He never filed any actual paperwork with the court, just advised people, made them think he was handling it, collected fees. How much? I asked. Conservatively? About $200,000 over 3 years. I felt sick. That's fraud. That's fraud, Sullivan agreed. But here's the interesting part. He pulled out another document. Your future mother-in-law, Martha Bennett? She has Alzheimer's, early stage. You knew that, right? Troy mentioned it. He said she was doing okay, living independently. She was. Until last year, when Troy became her power of attorney, medical and financial. And since then, there's been activity. He showed me bank statements, Martha's checking account, regular withdrawals, $3,200 a month, every month, for 14 months. That's $44,000, I said quietly. That's elder financial abuse, Sullivan corrected. Class C felony in Oregon. $400,000 fine, up to 5 years in prison. And that's on top of the unauthorized practice of law. I stared at those bank statements. Martha Bennett was a sweet woman. Quiet. She'd shown me photo albums of Troy as a kid, told me stories about his dead father, cried when Troy proposed to me. She'd given me her mother's pearl earrings as an engagement gift, and her own son had been robbing her blind. Does she know? I asked. I doubt it. The withdrawals are small enough that she probably doesn't notice. Or if she does, she's confused enough that she can't track it. Sullivan leaned back. But here's what I don't get. Troy's making money from the fake law practice, enough to live comfortably. Why steal from his mother? I thought about the Lexus, the designer suits, the expensive dinners, the engagement ring that cost more than my car. Because he wanted more, I said. He wanted to look successful, not just be successful. Look successful? Bingo. Sullivan closed the folder. So the question is, what are you going to do with this information? I didn't answer right away. Because here's the thing about revenge. It's not satisfying if it's private. If I just reported Troy to the state bar, to the police, to everyone who mattered, sure, he'd go down. But quietly, behind closed doors, legal proceedings, paperwork. That wasn't enough. I wanted witnesses. You're going to their wedding, Marin said flatly when I told her my plan. I'm going to their wedding, I confirmed. We were in my living room. She'd brought wine. I'd brought determination and a slowly crystallizing plan that was either brilliant or insane. Hazel, think about this carefully. You'll be walking into your parents' church, watching your sister marry your ex-fiancé. Ex-fiancé, who's a criminal. Criminal ex-fiancé, surrounded by everyone you know, all of whom think you're either pathetic or crazy. Or both. Or both. And you want to do what exactly? I smiled. I want to give them a wedding gift they'll never forget. Marin poured more wine. Explain. Ivy's wedding is May 10th, Saturday, 2 weeks from now. She's been posting about it nonstop on Instagram. Yes, I'm still following her. No, I'm not proud of it. She's using my vendors, my timeline. My entire wedding plan, basically. Just find and replace the names. Tacky, but not illegal. Right. But here's what she doesn't know. She sent out digital invitations through paperless post. I know this because my cousin forwarded me one, thinking I'd want to know. The invitation includes venue details, timeline, everything. And there's going to be a projector, for a slideshow, during the reception. Marin's eyes lit up. Oh no. Oh yes. Hazel, you're not thinking. I'm absolutely thinking. I pulled out my laptop. Sullivan got me everything: bank statements, screenshots of fake law practice ads, emails from clients Troy defrauded, video of him at the WeWork pretending to be an attorney, records of the unauthorized practice, Martha's power of attorney documents and withdrawal history. All of it. And you want to project it at the wedding, during the speeches. When everyone's sitting there thinking this is a beautiful celebration of love, I'm going to show them exactly who they're celebrating. Marin was quiet for a long moment. Then, that's either the most satisfying thing I've ever heard, or a lawsuit waiting to happen. Can they sue me for telling the truth? Technically, if you do it maliciously, it's not malicious. It's informative. I'm informing the wedding guests about important facts regarding the groom's criminal activities. Public service announcement. Hazel, Marin, they stole my wedding, my flowers, my vendors, my fiancé, my entire life plan. And nobody, not my parents, not my sister, not Troy, nobody has apologized. Nobody has shown even a shred of remorse. They all just expect me to… What? Disappear? Cry in private? Be the bigger person? You could still report him to the authorities. I will, after the wedding. But first, I want them to feel what I felt. That moment when your entire reality shifts. When you realize the person you thought you knew was a stranger. When everything you believed in turns out to be a lie. I looked at her. They deserve that, don't they? Marin studied me for a long moment. Then she raised her wine glass. They absolutely do. The morning of May 10th arrived with that specific kind of beautiful weather that feels like the universe is mocking you. Cloudless sky. Perfect 72 degrees. The kind of Saturday where every Instagram influencer in Portland would be posting about blessed days and good vibes only. I woke up at 6 a.m., showered, did my makeup, not the crying in sweatpants aesthetic I'd been rocking for weeks, but actual makeup, foundation, eyeliner, the works. Chose a dress I'd bought for a client's wedding last year, emerald green, fitted, the kind that says, I'm doing fantastic, and definitely not planning to ruin your life today. Marin showed up at 9 with coffee and moral support. You sure about this? She asked, watching me pack my laptop and a small projector into an oversized purse. Absolutely not, but I'm doing it anyway. That's the spirit. She paused. Sullivan got one more thing last night. Wanted to make sure you had it before today. She handed me her phone. Video footage. Grainy, clearly taken from someone's doorbell camera. Ivy and 2 friends walking down a suburban street, wine glasses in hand. Date stamp, March 15th. Audio. Friend. 1. I can't believe you're actually doing this. Ivy. Why not? She got to have him first. Now it's my turn. She always gets everything first anyway. Friend 2. But isn't that kind of… Ivy. What? Fair? She's had the perfect life forever. Perfect job, perfect apartment, perfect fiancé. About time someone took something from her for once. Laughs. Besides, Troy's way more fun than she ever appreciated. I watched it twice. Felt that familiar anger crystallize into something colder, more focused. Where'd Sullivan get this? Ivy's neighbor. Turns out she's not popular on the block. Someone was very happy to share their ring footage. I sent the video to myself, added it to the folder. Okay, I said. Now I'm ready. Willowbrook Methodist Church looked exactly like it had for my wedding planning sessions. White clapboard exterior, stained glass windows, that quintessential American small-town church aesthetic that shows up in every Hallmark movie. Cars were already filling the parking lot. I recognized most of them. Martha Bennett's silver Honda Accord was near the entrance. That's your in, Marin said. Sullivan said she usually arrives early, sits in the front. You talk to her first. I found Martha in the church vestibule, looking confused and small in a lavender dress. Her hair was done professionally. Clearly Ivy had sent her to a salon, but her eyes had that slightly unfocused quality I'd noticed lately. The Alzheimer's fog. Martha, I said gently. She turned and her face lit up. Hazel. Oh, sweetheart, I didn't know you'd be here. This is so confusing. They said Troy's getting married, but I thought… Weren't you— Her face crumpled. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's okay. I took her hand. Martha, I need to show you something. It's important. Can we sit down for just a minute? We sat in a back pew. I pulled out my tablet, showed her the bank statements, her account, the withdrawals. Do you recognize these? I asked gently. She squinted at the numbers. That's my checking account. But I don't— She traced a withdrawal with her finger. $3,200. Every month. I don't remember taking out that much. You didn't. Troy did. He's your power of attorney, remember? You signed the papers last year. I did? She looked genuinely confused. Why would he need— Martha, he's been taking money from your account for over a year. $44,000 total. Her hand flew to her mouth. No, Troy wouldn't. He's my son, he wouldn't— I have proof. Bank records. His signature on the withdrawal slips. Everything. I showed her more documents. I'm so sorry. I know this is a lot, but you deserve to know. Tears started rolling down her face. He said he was taking care of me, that I shouldn't worry about money anymore. I trusted him. I know. I trusted him too. I squeezed her hand. But we're going to fix this. Together, okay? She nodded, wiping her eyes with a tissue from her purse. Martha, I need you to do something brave. In about an hour during the reception, I'm going to show everyone what Troy's been doing. Not just to you, to a lot of people. And I need you to be there, to stand up and tell the truth. Can you do that? She looked at me for a long moment. Then her jaw set in a way that reminded me exactly where Troy got his stubborn streak. That man stole from his own mother, she said clearly. You're darn right I'll stand up. The ceremony was nauseating. I sat in the very back row with Marin, watching my entire family parade down the aisle. Cousins, aunts, uncles, friends who'd been at my engagement party 6 months ago. Everyone dressed up, smiling, acting like this was totally normal. My mother was in the front row wearing the mother of the bride dress we'd picked out together for my wedding. Champagne-colored, elegant. She caught my eye once and quickly looked away. Then Ivy appeared in the doorway, wearing a white mermaid gown that I swear to God was inspired by a dress I'd shown her from my Pinterest board. She looked radiant, glowing, triumphant. The wedding march started. Troy stood at the altar in his best fake lawyer suit, watching Ivy walk toward him with this expression that might have been love or might have been relief that someone finally bought his nonsense completely. The ceremony was quick. Methodist efficiency. Pastor Jim, who'd known our family for 20 years, did his dearly beloved speech, asked if anyone objected. I stayed silent, Marin physically held my arm, and pronounced them husband and wife. They kissed. Everyone clapped. I checked my watch. Reception started in 15 minutes. The church had a fellowship hall attached, typical multi-purpose room with folding tables, fluorescent lighting softened with tulle and fairy lights, my original design, naturally, and a projector screen set up for the slideshow. The slideshow? Right. We need to access the computer, I whispered to Marin as guests filed into the reception. Sullivan's on it. He's already here, pretending to be a cousin from Troy's dad's side. Nobody knows that side of the family well enough to question it. I spotted Sullivan across the room, khakis, button down, completely forgettable, talking to someone near the AV table where a laptop sat ready for the photo slideshow. My phone buzzed. Text from Sullivan. I'm in, files loaded. Just say when. Dinner was served. Chicken or fish? My original menu. Thanks for asking. People ate, drank. The room filled with that ambient wedding reception noise. Laughter, clinking glasses, bad DJ playing top 40 hits. Troy and Ivy sat at the head table looking insufferably happy. My parents flanked them, playing proud family. My dad kept checking his phone. My mom kept adjusting Ivy's veil. Nobody had acknowledged me. Not one person had come over to ask how I was doing, if I was okay, why I was even there. I was invisible. The embarrassing footnote nobody want Dee to discuss. Perfect. The best man stood up, some guy named Derek I'd met twice, and clinked his glass. If I could have everyone's attention, We're about to start the toasts, and then we have a special slideshow of Troy and Ivy's journey together. I stood up, walked to the front of the room, every head turned. Actually, I said, loud enough to carry, I have something to share first, if you don't mind. Derek looked confused. Troy's face went white. Ivy half stood from her seat. Hazel, what are you... Dad started. I promise this'll be quick, I said brightly. Just a few things I think everyone should know about the happy couple. Sullivan? The lights dimmed. The projector screen flickered to life. And there it was. All of it. First slide. Troy's Oregon State bar search results. No attorney found. Fun fact, I narrated. Troy isn't actually a lawyer. Never passed the bar. Never even took the bar. That law degree on his office wall? Bought it online for $490. Gasps rippled through the room. Troy stood up. This is ridiculous. Next slide. Screenshots of his WeWork ads. Legal consultation. Experienced attorney. He's been practicing law without a license for 3 years, I continued. Taking money from clients. Giving legal advice he's not qualified to give. That's a felony, by the way. Next slide. Client emails. Complaints. People wondering why their cases weren't progressing. Trevor Hamilton paid him $5,000 for a contract dispute that Troy never filed. Sandra Lee paid $3,000 for a custody case that doesn't exist in any court system. There are 37 more just like them. The room was dead silent. Troy was moving toward me, but Maren stepped in front of him. I wouldn't, she said quietly. I'm an actual attorney, and I'm recording everything. Next slide. Martha's bank statements. The $3,200 monthly withdrawals highlighted in yellow. And while he was committing fraud, I said, he was also robbing his own mother. Martha Bennett has early-stage Alzheimer's. Troy became her power of attorney and has been systematically draining her checking account. $44,800 over 14 months. Martha stood up from her table. He told me he was helping me, she said, voice shaking but clear. He said I shouldn't worry about bills anymore. I trusted him, and he stole from me. Mom, Troy started. Don't you dare call me Mom, not after what you've done. Next slide. The video of Ivy. Her voice filled the room. She always gets everything first anyway. About time someone took something from her for once. Ivy's face went from white to red. That was private. So was my relationship with Troy, I shot back. Didn't stop you. Next slide. Medical records. Sullivan had really outdone himself. Oh, and Ivy? About that pregnancy? I looked directly at her. You had a miscarriage at 6 weeks, March 21st. But you never told anyone, did you? You just kept pretending. Kept showing off fake ultrasound photos you printed from the internet. Kept using a non-existent baby to justify stealing your sister's fiancé. The room exploded. People shouting, chairs scraping. My mother screaming. How dare you? I raised my voice. I dare because nobody else would. You all sat here celebrating a wedding built on lies and fraud and theft? So yeah, I dare. Troy's father, Richard Barrett, the senior partner, stood up from a back table where he'd been sitting quietly. His face was purple with rage. Is this true? He demanded, looking at Troy. Have you been practicing law without a license? Using my firm's name? Dad, I can explain. Using my reputation? My credibility? Richard's voice could have cut glass. Do you have any idea what this means for Barrett and Associates? The liability? The lawsuits? The Bar Association investigations? I never used your firm name directly. You told everyone you worked there. I have clients in this room, Troy. Clients who are now wondering what the heck kind of operation I'm running. Ivy grabbed Troy's arm. Baby, just tell them it's not true. Tell them Hazel's lying. I have documentation, I said calmly. Every single piece. Already turned over to the Oregon State Bar Association and the District Attorney's Office as of 9 a.m. this morning, and the Adult Protective Services regarding Martha's case. Troy turned on me. You vindictive. Careful, Maren warned. That's verbal assault, in front of 100 witnesses. 2 uniformed police officers appeared in the doorway. Apparently Sullivan had been very thorough with his planning. Troy Michael Bennett? One of them asked. Troy's face went through several emotions at once: rage, fear, disbelief, that specific look of someone whose entire world just collapsed. "You're under arrest for unauthorized practice of law and financial exploitation of an elderly person. You have the right to remain silent." They handcuffed him. Right there, in his wedding tuxedo, in front of everyone. Ivy started crying. "This isn't happening. This can't be happening." "Oh, it's happening," I said. "And unlike your fake pregnancy, this is very, very real." My mother rushed over. "Hazel Morrison, how could you?" "How could I?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "Mom, your daughter slept with my fiancé. Your other daughter just watched a criminal get arrested at his own wedding. And you're asking how I could do this? This was her special day, built on fraud and theft and lies. But sure, I'm the villain here." I picked up my purse, looked at Marin. "I think we're done here." As we walked toward the exit, I stopped next to Martha. "I'll call you tomorrow. We'll figure out the financial recovery process. You're not alone in this." She hugged me. Hard. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for having the courage I didn't." Outside, in the parking lot, Marin and I got into her car, sat there for a moment in silence. Then we both started laughing. Couldn't help it. That slightly hysterical laughter that comes after adrenaline crashes. "That was the most insane thing I've ever witnessed," Marin said. "And I'm a divorce attorney. I've seen things." "Worth it?" "Oh, absolutely worth it." She started the car. "Your family's going to hate you forever. You know that, right? They already chose sides. At least now I know exactly where I stand." My phone started blowing up. Texts, calls, voicemails. I turned it off. "What now?" Marin asked. Now I'm going to get very drunk. And tomorrow I'm going to start actually living my life, on my terms, without any fraudulent lawyers or backstabbing sisters. Sounds like a plan. As we drove away, I caught one last glimpse of the church in the rearview mirror. People spilling out into the parking lot. Chaos, confusion, the beautiful wreckage of a wedding that would be talked about for years. And somewhere in that mess, Ivy was realizing that taking what wasn't hers came with consequences. Karma, I thought, isn't just payback. Sometimes she's a wedding planner with excellent documentation skills and a really, really long memory. 6 months is enough time for a lot of things. Enough time for a scandal to become neighborhood legend. Enough time for a family to fracture beyond repair. Enough time to realize that sometimes the trash takes itself out. Troy got 26 months. Could have been worse. His fancy lawyer father hired the best defense attorney money could buy. Argued for leniency, first offense, genuine remorse, all that performative nonsense. But financial exploitation of an elderly person plus unauthorized practice of law carries weight, especially when the DA's office found 12 other victims once they started looking, especially when Richard Barrett threw his own son under the bus to save his firm's reputation. Turns out consequences are real. Who knew? Ivy lasted exactly 3 weeks at my parents' house after the wedding before Dad told her to find somewhere else to live. The fake pregnancy thing apparently crossed even his generous threshold for enabling terrible behavior. Last I heard through the suburban gossip mill, she's working reception at a Holiday Inn Express off I-5, making $16.50 an hour, living with a roommate in Beaverton. Her Instagram went private after she got tired of the comments. My mother tried calling me exactly once. I let it go to voicemail. She said she was sorry I felt hurt, which is possibly the most non-apology apology in the history of non-apologies. I didn't call back. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. Martha and I have coffee every Thursday morning. She's doing better. Medication adjustments helped. And removing the stress of Troy's constant manipulation cleared up some of the fog. We got most of her money back through victim restitution. She's living with her sister in Eugene now. Started a garden. Adopted a cat named Frank. She sends me pictures. "I wasted so many years making excuses for him," she told me last week, stirring honey into her tea. Telling myself he was just ambitious, just stressed, just struggling to find his way. "You loved him," I said. "That's not a waste." Maybe not, but enabling him was. She looked at me with those sharp eyes that cut through everything. You did what I should have done years ago. You held him accountable. Thank you for that. I didn't do it for noble reasons, Martha. I did it because I was angry. Best reason there is, sweetheart. Anger gets things done. Forgiveness just lets people hurt you twice. I sold the condo. Too many memories of a life that turned out to be fiction. Moved to a smaller place in southeast Portland, near Hawthorne. Exposed brick, big windows, the kind of apartment that screams, divorced 30-something starting over, but in a chic way. Ever After Events is doing better than ever, actually. Turns out, wedding planner who destroyed her sister's fraudulent wedding is fantastic marketing in a city that loves messy drama. I've gotten 17 new clients since May. Brides who want someone who gets it, who won't take nonsense from difficult vendors or boundary-violating family members, who understands that weddings are complicated enough without adding betrayal and felonies. I raised my rates 40%. Everyone paid without question. Marin says I'm frighteningly well-adjusted for someone whose life imploded 6 months ago. I think she's just impressed I haven't committed any actual crimes. Yet. You know what the weirdest part is? I told her over brunch last Sunday. Our new tradition, mimosas at Sunnyside Cafe every week. I'm not even that sad anymore. Like, the betrayal hurt, the humiliation hurt. But Troy, Ivy, the whole fairy tale life I thought I wanted, I don't miss it. Because it was never real, Marin said. You can't miss something that didn't actually exist. Exactly. I was in love with a character he was playing, living a life my family approved of. Following this script nobody actually wrote, but everyone assumed I'd perform. I stabbed a piece of French toast. Screw the script. Screw the script, she agreed, raising her mimosa. I ran into Ivy 2 weeks ago. Pure accident. We were both at Target naturally, because that's where all Portland suburban drama eventually converges. I was in the home goods section looking at throw pillows I didn't need. She was in the clearance aisle, pushing a cart with ramen and generic toilet paper. She saw me, froze, looked like she was debating whether to run or pretend she hadn't noticed me. I walked over. Hazel, she said quietly. Ivy. Silence. Uncomfortable. The kind where you can hear the terrible acoustic version of a pop song playing through the store speakers. You look good, she finally said. Thanks. You look. I paused, trying to find something true but not cruel. Different. She laughed. Sad, hollow sound. That's one word for it. How's the Holiday Inn? Her face colored. You heard about that. Suburbia's a small world. Everyone hears about everything. Right. She gripped her cart handle. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I'm sorry. For everything. I was jealous and stupid and I destroyed everything for literally nothing. I studied her. Tried to find some satisfaction in her obvious misery. Found mostly just nothing. Emptiness where anger used to live. You did, I agreed. But you destroyed your own life more than mine. So I guess the universe balanced out. I heard Troy's getting out early. Good behavior or something. 18 months instead of 26. Yeah. Lucky him. Are you? She couldn't finish the question. Am I what? Getting back together with the convicted felon who committed fraud and stole from his own mother? No, Ivy. Shockingly, I'm not. I didn't mean. I know what you meant, and no. I'm not interested in either of you. You can have him when he gets out if you want. Start over. Build a life based on mutual betrayal and poor impulse control. Sounds romantic. She flinched. That's not fair. Life's not fair. You taught me that. I adjusted my purse. Take care of yourself, Ivy. Genuinely. Figure out who you are when you're not trying to be me. I walked away before she could respond. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for a moment, waited for the sadness, the anger, the crushing weight of family loss. Felt nothing but relief. Here's what nobody tells you about burning your life down. It's terrifying and liberating in equal measure. You lose people, family, friends, that whole social infrastructure you thought was permanent. But you also lose the obligation to pretend, to perform, to be whoever everyone else needed you to be. I'm not the bigger person. I didn't forgive anyone. I didn't rise above or take the high road or any of that aspirational nonsense people preach when they want you to accept abuse quietly. I got mad. I got evidence. I got even. And then, I got on with my life. Martha sent me a text yesterday. Frank caught a mouse. Very proud of himself. Thought you should know. I sent back. Living his best life. We all should. She replied, Amen to that, sweetheart. Amen to that. Sometimes I think about that wedding. The look on Troy's face when the police walked in. The sound of Ivy's voice breaking when the fake pregnancy got exposed. My mother's expression when she realized I'd actually done it. Blown up the whole charade in front of everyone who mattered. It should probably make me feel guilty. Ashamed. Like I went too far. It doesn't. Some people deserve grace. Second chances. The benefit of the doubt. And some people deserve to get arrested at their own wedding in front of 100 witnesses while their fraud and manipulation get projected on a screen in high definition. I'm at peace with providing the latter. Last week, I took on a new client. Woman in her early 30s, getting married for the second time. First husband cheated, apparently. Whole messy divorce situation. She sat in my office looking nervous and determined. I want everything perfect, she said. But I also want security, documentation. Like if everything goes wrong, I want proof it was beautiful once. Does that make sense? I smiled. It makes perfect sense. I'm very good at documentation. That's what I heard. She pulled out her phone, showed me photos of venue options. My sister said you destroyed your own sister's wedding. That true? Factually accurate. Though destroyed is subjective. I'd say I provided crucial information at an opportune moment. She laughed. I like you. You're honest. I'm practical. There's a difference. I pulled out my planning binder. Let's build you something beautiful, something real. And if anyone tries to mess with it, we'll be ready. Deal. We shook hands. And I thought, this is it. This is the life I actually wanted. Not the performance. Not the script. Not the fairy tale my family approved of. Just the truth. However messy and complicated and imperfect it might be. Because here's the thing about happy endings. They're wildly overrated. Satisfying endings, though, those are worth fighting for. And mine was pretty darn satisfying.